I asked, what have we mastered at this time? And we got the Eight of Cups and the Moon. We have mastered a new level of emotional maturity. Okay. We have strong Pisces energy in both of these cards. The Moon, but then the Eight of Cups can also resonate with Pisces. The 8, the 9, and the 10 of Cups. Okay. The reason why I see emotional mastery or spiritual mastery is because Pisces energy, it can be very demanding. It demands that you release and you let go. You cleanse your experience. You become lighter than a feather. If anything, you become closer than breath. That's how much Pisces energy can ask you to not step outside the box, but assume the box isn't even there. And the reason why I talk about this is because we have a depiction of the moon cycles, and then we have the 8 here. Both can talk about repetition. And repetition is a form of control. Okay, so the reason why I feel that this has been emotional and spiritual mastery is because we're much better at recognizing when we feel out of control. And when you can identify that, you've done a couple of things here. The first thing that you've done is you've been able to honor the fact that you have the ability to be aware of yourself. So self-reflection's already happening there, okay? But number 2, if you know that you can pull back and pause, that means that you know there's a place to go to. Just a foundation to which you can rest. So as Pisces is mutable, which means building on an existing cycle, that means a lot of you know that you are a whole, complete person. Whenever you choose to say, oh, let me pull back, I'm noticing that things are getting a little, I'm not feeling stabilized. I feel like, this feels uncomfortable. This feels not like me anymore, because we've been so in the practice of showing up for ourselves, so in the practice of being kinder to ourselves. It's very clear when I'm not having a kind experience. It's also very clear when I'm not talking to myself kindly, or I'm starting to react more to what is outside of me. But when I pause, that's me remembering that I'm a complete person. I'm a whole being. Again, there's somewhere to go. I have that control. That is in my control, my awareness. So what could be happening around this time is that a lot of us, well, our responsibilities are there, bills are there, okay? We have, social engagements this time of the year that I'm reading this. I mean, this is around the holiday time as well. There can be a lot of narratives that come up to the surface. And they can really tempt us into going back into that space where we don't feel we are in control, simply because we've lived a life where we didn't feel in control for a long time. We were saying this to ourselves for a long time. But again, that Piscean energy is saying, let it go. Release it, because you're capable of releasing to that extent. When you reground and recoup, what will need to be taken care of will still be there. But what's going to be different is your perspective, is your awareness, and therefore the actions that you take. I want to talk about this 8 of Cups for a second by addressing the 7 of Cups. With that beautiful Scorpio energy with the 7 of Cups, we know that we're aware of the different options that are in front of us. But that also means that we're aware that we can become a different person by way of whichever action we choose to take. Just being in that space, that is the energy of that shared resources, that co-creating, right? And we're doing this in spaces that are not really tangible. It's just a lot of internal work for the most part. And it's expressed outwardly through different opportunities, different chances, different doors opening. But usually when we get stuck, that feeling of stuckness comes through because it's time for us to get to this 8 of Cups. That stuckness can relate to us being afraid of which doors we have to close. So the 8 of Cups can represent a mature action. Let me repeat that, a mature action. This is taking that step forward. For some of you, you might call it a technique that helps you reground yourself because of that 8, repeating habit, creatures of habit. But we also know that creatures of habits can also be control freaks. So this is why for a lot of you, you're noticing that, okay, am I too afraid to let go of something here? What's telling me this? You see the ability to do the assessment. For some of you, that's the action that's being taken here. Going within and self-reflecting, that's the action. That's you taking that mature step forward and saying, I see that there's a certain framework that I'm working within and I'm responding to, but it's not working because it doesn't feel good to be in this framework anymore. It has served a purpose, but now it's time for me to take that mature action outward and to consistently show up as that person. To consistently step into the role of the person who can stay outside of that old framework. You don't have to dishonor it and say, oh, it's off. No. It served its purpose. Okay? Being in that water, being submerged, being in that space, that domain, it had its purpose. We honor it for what it is, but we also understand that evolution is a part of our experience. As humans, we're experiencing this world of decay as well. So change, transition is a part of it. And so for a lot of you now, it can feel good to participate in taking that step forward. It can feel good to go within and self-reflect. It can feel good to self-soothe in ways that are healthier, in ways that ask you to get up and take action consistently as that new and improved version of yourself that you want to introduce to the world. I mean, they're already in here, but now you're allowing your body, you're having a full body experience taking action as that person. And you're consistently doing that instead of retreating into that Seven of Cups energy where we're kind of back in that stuck, that final phase where it's like, okay, we don't need to be here anymore. You don't need to be here anymore, but it's comfortable. It's kind of comfortable being a victim of my circumstances in some cases. It's comfortable being the person who doesn't decide. It's comfortable taking direction from other people. But if that hasn't been working, it's because you're ready to be the one who decides. And a lot of times, I have to say this here, for any of you who are just like, yeah, I felt comfortable taking direction from other people, have you actually respected those people? Is it easy to remain consistent with respecting those people? I'm bringing this up because that may be a narrative that some of us are contending with ourselves, and it comes back to some form of self-discipline. And again, discipline doesn't have to feel bad. Discipline can feel good because that is a form of going into a technique when you notice that you're feeling out of control. Self-soothing, self-reflection. Those are forms of discipline. And I will say this here too. For those of you who want something a little bit more tangible when it comes to remembering that you are in control, what you can do is sit down for a moment and list off the different ways that you are consistent throughout your day-to-day. So just take a stock of what you do on a daily basis, or maybe it's a weekly basis if that's more realistic. And then just take stock of what you are doing, okay? Are you always, making sure your kitchen sink is clean or the dishwasher is loaded before you go to bed or you leave for the day, go to work? Are you making sure that, you put the shoes in order, or that you at least make your bed before you leave for the day and get up and start? Okay, sorry, my words are a little jumbly right now. Are you waking up at the same time? Are you able to produce the results, at least the minimal results that you said that you wanted to? What are you doing on a daily basis that is consistently happening? Because those are forms of discipline. Now, I want some of you, because we have all this Piscean energy, to take it a step further. When you can identify the different ways that you are consistent, which is another way of saying you are in control of it, you're consistent here, I want you to ask yourself, if I'm this consistent, doesn't that mean that I'm also not in the headspace of creating problems for myself? Just think about it. If you're consistently showing up somewhere, that means that you have no intentions of creating problems there because you're not neglecting it. So let's kind of go back to the examples I was using. A lot of that was related to maybe keeping your house clean, keeping your space clean. If you notice that, okay, I just want to do one thing at a time. I just want to make sure I always put my shoes in the right place. I always want to hang my coat up. I always want to make sure my keys are in the one spot. Those little things count. Because what are you doing? You're not making future problems for your future self. Because when it comes time to clean, you're not scrambling. Or you're not wondering, where the heck are my keys? You know exactly where they are because you've been disciplined enough to show up for yourself in that little of a way. And that bleeds out. That bleeds out into the rest of your experience. Sometimes it is a small act like that that is what the Eight of Cups is representing. Look at the different ways you actually do not create problems for yourself on a day-to-day basis. And then you can remember, you know what? I am in more control than I remember, because your mind wants to latch onto something. So feed it with what is happening. Feed it with what is there. Engage in that reset. It is inevitable sometimes that we just get hankered down and anchored down by all of the responsibilities of life. So it is normal to have that experience where you're not feeling good or you feel out of control. It's normal. Normalize it and just remember, okay, this is a part of my experience. I'm not a bad person. I'm not a failure. I'm just in this space right now. Things are changing. I'm changing. Now, what's consistent is my awareness of it. Now, how can I show up for myself now? Boom. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to end the reading here. Let's try not to make it too long today. I intend that this was helpful, that you felt seen and heard. I also intend that you are proud of yourself and that you can find different ways to maybe directly say that you love yourself, or just find even more creative ways to express that love for yourself and do something nice for you today. Try doing something nice for you every day. Okay, let's remove the guilt around becoming a priority or feeling good when it comes to making choices for ourselves. Okay, let's engage and let's push. Let's kind of push our imagination, right? And build off of the discipline that you already have for yourself. And let's broaden our awareness. Let's be even greater to ourselves today. Because you just can. You don't need a reason to do it. Okay? So if you don't know, my name is Mayan, and if you want a private reading from me, the information is in the description, how you can book. And as always, please do your best to keep the faith, and I love you very much. Until next time.